Hello and welcome to Untwisted Threads. This is Drops Fabel, the 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon yarn, features 29 patterns and 25 colors. The colorway that we chose is 924 Confetti Cake. This 50-gram skein with 205 meters or 224 yards works up as a fingering weight yarn. The suggested gauge on a US 2.5 or 3 millimeter needles is 24 stitches and 32 rows per 4 inches or 10 centimeters. For our swatch, I will be using a 3.5 millimeter needle size. In today's video, we're going to review and score Drops Fabel using our 5 categories, which are availability, softness, traction, durability, and cost, to help you decide if this is the best yarn for you and your next project. Stay tuned until the end for a few pattern recommendations as well. Would you like to see how all of our yarns compare to one another, or enter to win our monthly giveaway? Join our free newsletter linked in the description box below. Let's get started. For availability, we give Drops Fabel a score of 2.5 out of 5. This Norway-based brand, although very popular overseas, is a little bit trickier to come by for us here in the United States. Currently, it's available at only a few shops in the US and in a few colors on Amazon. However, I purchased and shipped mine from Wool Warehouse based in the UK and was very satisfied with how easy it was to order my yarn and have it shipped to me here in the US. For softness, we give it a score of 3.6 out of 5. My first thought when I see that a yarn has a superwash wool content is that I assume it'll be decently soft. Unfortunately for my sensitive skin, before blocking, I just didn't find that to be the case. It just wasn't what I was expecting from a superwash treated wool. It was pretty much my tolerance level, but leaning more on the rustic and irritating side. For a comparison, it is softer than Issachar Tweed and not quite as soft as Cascade Yarns 220. I'd say it's pretty comparable to Schachenmeier Regia 4-ply. For a micron count or softness scale rating, we'd give it around a 28 micron count, slightly on the more rustic side of your typical Peruvian Highland wool. Our best guess is that this is of course the common Peruvian Highland wool, even though we can't say for certain. If you're looking for a more rustic sock yarn and don't have as sensitive of skin as I do, you may love and enjoy getting to work with this yarn. After blocking, we did notice that it got a little bit softer, which was nice. In terms of warmth and breathability, you'll be happy to hear that wool, even 75% wool, is one of the most breathable and common fibers for garments and will actively react to the changes in a body's temperature. For traction, we give it a score of 4 out of 5. This yarn almost had too much grip, but it wasn't causing me any issues. With my sensitive skin, I would probably need to take a few breaks every now and then, but it was still doable if I was, say, knitting a gift for someone who preferred more of a rustic wool. Honestly, it was my warm hands that caused the yarn to grip more onto my skin, so that was more of a user flaw than the yarn's fault. For durability, we give it a score of 4 out of 5. Wool on its own is typically a bit hardier because of its fiber length. Add in that little bit of nylon and a superwash treatment helps this yarn be a little bit stronger of a sock yarn. Of course, we can't say for certain how hardy or not this yarn may be, as we don't know what type of wool it is. If this was a merino yarn, we'd know that the delicate fine fibers would be more prone to pilling. Unfortunately, when feeling the swatch with my hands, there was a medium amount of fiber collection and pill balls. So if you make a pair of socks with this yarn, just be aware of how often you'll probably need to care for it, especially in areas that rub your shoe more than others. For cost, we give it a score of 4.8 out of 5. For being a 50-gram skein, you can expect to pay $2.88 US depending on the day and the conversion rate from the British pound. That breaks down to just over 1 cent per yard. So a size medium sweater is going to cost you only $25. How unbelievable. Overall, we give Drops Fabel a score of 3.78 out of 5. The speckle print colorway we chose was so fun and reminded me of a hand-dyed yarn. This could be a great, inexpensive, rustic sock yarn that won't felt and is machine washable. It could be a great yarn to practice sock knitting with or even for gifts. So we had a little look on Ravelry and wanted to share a few pattern recommendations with you, hopefully to inspire you if you're wanting to use this yarn for a project of your own. The first pattern is the Mystic Wave Socks by Ashley Coons. It comes in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large, with a finished circumference of 8, 9, and 10 inches. It suggests using a US 2 or 2 3/4 millimeter needle size with a fingering weight yarn to meet gauge. It is worked cuff down with a magic loop and a heel flap and gusset. The wave pattern has both written and charted instructions. Something to note is that the gauge is a little bit looser than your average sock pattern. The wave stitch makes the stitches tighter, so that is something to be mindful of. The next pattern is the Recreational Tilling Socks by Liz Harris. This free pattern comes in 4 sizes from small to extra large, where large and extra large are large enough to be suited for men's sizes. It suggests using a US 1 and 2 or 2 1/4 and 2 3/4 millimeter needle size with a fingering weight yarn to meet gauge. They are worked from top down with a heel flap and standard gusset and a wide toe. The broken rib stitch pattern is very forgiving and generous sizing wise, so it's recommended not to size up. The stitch pattern is given as a simple chart as well as fully written out instructions. The last pattern is the Crunkled Socks by Kay Jones. It comes in 3 sizes and suggests using a US 1 or 2 1/4 millimeter needle size with a fingering weight yarn to meet gauge. They are worked cuff down and feature a bubble style textured stitch and a video tutorial on how to do her perfect fitting heel flap and turn with a 2-stitch gap closing. I love that this pattern uses self-striping yarn, as Fabel has so many patterning colorways to choose from. Have you used Drops Fabel yarn before? What yarn would you like for us to do a review on next? We would love to hear your thoughts and recommendations in the comments below. And if you enjoyed today's review, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.